She was running. Not walking. Not jogging. Running. Through a crowd of people who didn't even look up. Her worn sneakers slapped against wet pavement. Her breath came out in sharp white clouds. And in her right hand, clutched so tightly her knuckles had gone pale, was a wallet that didn't belong to her. Inside that wallet was $10,000 in cash. And she was running toward the man she could have stolen it from. By the end of this story, a billionaire's CFO will be escorted out of a boardroom in front of cameras. A mother who lost everything will hear her name cleared publicly. And a 19-year-old girl sleeping in a shelter will be sitting across a boardroom table, as an equal. None of it happens without one decision. Made in the cold. In under 60 seconds. But before we get there, I need you to feel something first. She was homeless. Hungry. Hadn't eaten in 2 days. And she was holding $10,000 that nobody would ever know she had. No cameras. No witnesses. The world had already taken everything from this girl. Her home. Her future. Her mother's health. If anyone deserved a miracle dropped from the sky, it was her. But Maya did something that set off a chain of events so shocking that $1 billion empire would never be the same again. And it all started with a wallet. If this story already has you leaning forward, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you are new here. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Stay with me, because what happens next will completely change the way you think about integrity and power. Let me take you back to that Tuesday morning. Gray sky. Packed streets. A city moving fast and caring about nothing. Maya Osei was 19. Sitting outside a coffee shop she hadn't been inside in 8 months. Notebook open on her knee. Exactly nothing else. 8 months ago she had a scholarship. 2 jobs. A plan. Then her mother Agnes, who had given 22 years of her life to coal industries, came home one Wednesday evening to find a termination letter slipped under their door. No real severance. No explanation that made sense. Just a box of belongings and a closed door. Agnes fought it. Filed complaints. Hired a lawyer with money they didn't have. Wrote letters that went nowhere. Coal industries crushed her. Quietly. Efficiently. The legal fees took their savings. The apartment went next. Maya dropped out to care for her mother. And one morning she woke up and realized she had been so busy trying to stop the fall, she hadn't noticed they had already hit the ground. 8 months on the streets. But every single night Maya wrote in that notebook. Business ideas. Market gaps. Supply chain models. Because they could take everything else. But they could not take what was inside her head. That morning Maya looked up and saw a man in a charcoal coat cutting through the crowd like it owed him something. 2 assistants scrambling behind him. And then, barely 2 feet from where she sat, something fell. A wallet. Black leather. Thick. Nobody noticed. But Maya did. She picked it up. Opened it. And that is when she saw it. Cash. Neat. Crisp. Banded. $10,000. She looked up. The man was almost at the end of the block. She thought about her mother coughing on a shelter cot. The landlord who changed their locks while their things were still inside. Every door that had closed in her face. $10,000. Nobody watching. She closed the wallet. And she ran. Still here. Good. Subscribe and hit that like button right now. Share this, because what happens inside that building is where everything changes. It took 40 minutes to get past lobby security. She was turned away twice. The third time she looked the guard dead in the eye. $10,000 inside. I am returning it. If you don't take it right now, whatever happens next is on you. Not me. He took it. She left one handwritten line inside the front pocket. Everything is inside. I didn't count it, but I didn't take any either. Then she walked back into the code. No name. No number. Just integrity and an initial. Now here is what Maya did not know. That man was Damian Coe, CEO of Coal Industries. Worth just over $2 billion. And he had not dropped that wallet by accident. This was a test. 3 or 4 times a year Damian deliberately dropped that wallet near strangers. Rich areas. Poor areas. He called it his one honest read on human character. Something no interview or resume could ever give him. In 11 years, not one single person had ever returned it untouched. Until today. When his assistant placed the wallet on his desk with that note, Damian read it once. Twice. 3 times. Then sat back and said nothing for a long time. Find her. It took 3 days. But they found her. Same shelter. Same steps. Notebook open on her knee. Damian showed up alone. Sat beside her. And said quietly, "You returned my wallet." Maya looked at him. "I returned your money. The wallet was always yours." He offered her a job. Real salary. Housing stipend. A chance to rebuild completely. Maya tilted her head and asked, "What did you say your company was called?" Coal Industries. The air changed instantly. "That is the company that destroyed my mother," she said. She stood up. Closed her notebook. "Keep your job offer." And she walked back inside. Damian went back to his office and pulled Agnes Osei's full termination file. What he found stopped him cold. Agnes had not been fired for poor performance. She had been one of 17 workers who formally raised safety complaints about dangerous warehouse conditions. Someone inside Coal Industries had falsified all their records and quietly removed them before those complaints could reach the regulatory board. That someone was Victor Hale, Damian's CFO. His oldest friend. Damian picked up his phone. "My office. Now." Victor arrived looking completely calm. That was the thing about Victor, he was always calm. It was the quality Damian had always admired most about him. Now it made his skin crawl. Damian slid the file across the desk without a word. Victor looked down at it. Something moved behind his eyes, just briefly, then the calm came back like a curtain dropping. "There were difficult decisions made during a difficult period," Victor said carefully. The business needed protecting. From warehouse workers filing safety complaints. From liability. From regulatory disruption. From a chain reaction that could have cost this company hundreds of millions. "You falsified their records, Victor. I made a judgment call." "You destroyed 17 families," Damian said quietly. "A woman worked here for 22 years. Her teenage daughter is sleeping in a shelter right now because of a judgment call you made and never told me about." Victor straightened slightly. "You didn't want to know. You never wanted to know the details. That was always our arrangement. I handled the difficult things so you could keep your hands clean." The silence that followed was the loudest thing in the room. Because the worst part, the part that sat in Damian's chest like something cold and heavy, was that Victor was not entirely wrong. That night Damian went back to the shelter. He sat beside Maya on those steps and placed the file in her hands without a word. She read it standing up in the cold morning air. He watched her face as she read. Watched the moment she found her mother's name. Watched her jaw tighten and her eyes filled, just briefly, before she pushed it back down. When she finished, she closed the file carefully. "You knew?" she asked. "No," he said. "But that is not the same as being innocent." That answer, that one honest answer, was the last thing Maya expected. She looked at him for a long time. Three things, she said finally. I'm listening. Every person on that list gets fully compensated. No confidentiality clauses. Public acknowledgement of what was done. Agreed. Victor answers for it properly. Not a quiet resignation. Not a goodbye party. He answers for it. Agreed. And my mother hears her name cleared publicly. Out loud. On camera. She gave 22 years to this company. She deserves to hear them say they were wrong. Damian held her gaze. Agreed, he said. Maya studied his face, looking for the crack. The place where the powerful man would start negotiating her down. There wasn't one. If this story is hitting different right now, that is exactly the point. Like this video. Subscribe right now. Share this with everyone you know, because we are 30 seconds from the most powerful moments in this entire story. Victor did not go quietly. The night before the press conference, he released documents to 3 media outlets simultaneously. Evidence of a decision Damian had made 17 years ago, a small family-owned supplier absorbed and discarded when coal industries no longer needed them. Not illegal. But not clean either. By midnight it was everywhere. Damian's phone did not stop. His board called. His lawyers called. His PR team drafted emergency statements. He answered none of them. At 1 in the morning his phone rang from an unknown number. He answered anyway. I saw the news, Maya said. Everyone did. How are you? The question surprised him. Nobody had asked him that. Relieved, he said quietly. I have been waiting for that to come out for 17 years. Turns out the waiting was worse than the thing itself. The press conference is still happening, she asked. Tomorrow. 10 o'clock. I am not moving it. What are you going to do about the supplier story? The same thing I told you I would do, he said. Stand up and deal with all of it. Not just the parts that are easy. A long silence. Okay, Maya said softly. Then I will be there. The press conference was held in coal industry's main conference hall. Every seat filled. Cameras lined the back wall. Board members sat to one side looking like people waiting for a verdict they already knew was bad. Damian walked in alone. 1 page. Plain language. Written by himself at 2 in the morning. He stood at the podium. Looked directly at the camera. And said, before I read this statement I want to speak to someone directly. Her name is Agnes Osei. She worked for this company for 22 years. She raised a daughter on this salary. She trusted this institution with the best years of her working life. And this company betrayed that trust completely. He paused. Agnes, if you are watching, I am sorry. Not on behalf of this company. Personally. I am sorry. In the shelter 3 miles away, Agnes Osei was sitting up in her cot watching a small screen Maya had borrowed from the common room and carried to her bedside that morning. When she heard her name spoken out loud in that room full of cameras and power, she put her hand over her mouth. And Maya, sitting on the edge of the cot holding her mother's hand, felt something loosen in her chest that had been worn tight for 2 years. Damian read every word. The falsified records. The buried safety complaints. The 17 families. Full compensation with no conditions. Victor Hale's removal pending regulatory inquiry. And a separate admission about the supplier decision 17 years ago, and the steps he was taking to make that right too. When he finished, the room was completely silent. Then he looked up from the page and said, a 19-year-old girl with nothing found $10,000 that belonged to me and ran 40 minutes through the code to give it back. She didn't do it for a reward. She didn't do it because anyone was watching. She did it because her mother raised her to be honest, even when honesty cost her something. He paused. This company should have been run the same way from the beginning. 3 months later, Agnes Ose walked into a specialist office for the first time in 2 years, fully covered. Maya stood in a small office on the 14th floor of Coal Industries headquarters, not as an assistant, not as a charity case, but as the head of a newly created community operations division. Her idea. Her terms. Her name on the door. On her desk, the same one notebook. Still open. Still full of ideas. And somewhere in the city, Victor Hale was learning the hard way what Maya had always known. Integrity is not something you perform when people are watching. It is what you do when nobody is. If this story moved you, share it right now. Like this video. Subscribe so you never miss stories like this. Drop a comment below and tell me, would you have returned that wallet? Because I genuinely want to know. Thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next one.